Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, I'm going to go over some really standard technical analysis on the Ethereum and Bitcoin charts on a macro scale. Now, I want to lead you off with a quote. And this is from one of my favorite channels, Market Makers. I'll put their link in the description down below. Definitely go check them out. They do some premium stuff. But let me just say, one of the things that they like to repeat on the channel is that volume never lies, but price often does. Now, I don't know if that's the exact quote. I tried my best. Let's put it that way. But that is really important, and that's going to be a big theme of what we look at today. So the first thing we're going to look at is the SPX. Now, this is one of the largest index funds in stocks in general, right? It's one of the American ones, I believe. I don't know it too well. Maybe it's not. The S&P 500, the ticker's SPX. But yeah, so this is a really big index fund, and this typically is kind of like a good way for me personally to assess the direction of the stock market and its current trend. Now, it is currently in a bear market, and it has been descending. As you can see, it is starting to break up above this upper trend line on the daily chart. But this indicator here is actually a Kumo cloud. So I'll go into the other indicators later because they're more relevant there. But this indicator here is a Kumo cloud, and what that does is it tries to depict support and resistance as sort of a leading indicator. Now, I don't use it too often, but you can see that this resistance is starting to thin out here, and it is trying to punch through. But I just want to bring up that we should be very careful about looking at technical analysis just on face value here. There is a lot happening in the world today. Many of you already know about all the economic things that are happening around the globe, but there's two major events coming up. Firstly, the Fed interest rate hike. So people are expecting them to increase it by 0.75%. If that is the case, then technically it would be priced in, and it may not affect the charts and the technicals too much in terms of it when that happens. But if it is higher than that, and some do expect a 1% rate hike, then like all the previous rate hikes that have been quite high, the stocks will dump again, and they always drag down Bitcoin with it, okay? They haven't decoupled yet. Maybe they will in the future. But for now, we have to look at the facts here, and that is simply what has been happening. So I'd be careful watching at things like the daily chart and stuff to see things just going straight up. It may go up. We may have already bottomed. I am not sure. Obviously, this is not financial advice, but I'm going to show you guys why I think in the short term, we're going to go down a bit. We might have another large capitulation. I do expect that. But at the moment, the technicals have actually been surprising me. They actually look pretty positive, and we'll jump into them. Firstly, I want to have a look at the Bitcoin chart. Now, I'm going to talk about Wyckoff very quickly here. And I'm going to talk about these two indicators down here because they're important to this. But I'm going to look at Ethereum in much more detail in just a moment. So bear with me, please. And please stick through to the end. There's a lot of information to take in here. So you can see that Bitcoin entered a bear flag up here, right? And then it came down and it crashed down, what is that, 40%? For 50%, a long way. So how you measure a bear flag is you take the flagpole and you measure it to the top of the flag. Then you just move that to approximately the bottom of the bear flag. But I believe you can actually measure it from the top of the bear flag as well. And that gives your exit target for the bear flag. And as you can see, this pretty much hit its target exactly if this was a pattern you traded. Now what we are currently in is another bear flag, and this will be relevant in just a moment. But if we did take a flagpole and we moved it down to the bottom here, you'd see that it's ending around 11,500 mark, or if we use the bottom, around the 9K mark. And that is where this bear flag could potentially lead. But what are we seeing here? It is currently breaking out from that bear flag. But what I believe this is a lot closer to is a Wyckoff distribution, which happens very often in Bitcoin. Simply put, a Wyckoff distribution kind of looks like this. Now, there's a lot you can say about it and explain it and things like that. But a guy called Wyckoff, I think that was his surname, he went through and he discussed market patterns in terms of what the hedge funds and the large market makers and things like that actually do to the markets to try and capture as much liquidity from the retail and other participants as they can. And basically they're doing this thing up here called a test. And what I think it could be this test, but we could see a lot of upwards movement. Again, Ethereum looks really bullish at the moment. But if it is a test, then they could be faking out the entire market to then dump on it. So I just want you guys to be aware that that is a possibility. It could go either way. But the big thing you need to watch for is for Bitcoin, if I go down to the 4-hour chart, to actually hold this as a moment of support. And again, we're going to jump into volume and that quote I said to you guys at the start, because it is very, very important here. But you need to hold this level of support. And why I'm telling you this is because when you start to look at the volume down the bottom here, you can see that there's just not much volume in it. You can see the volume back here when there was that big capitulation. There's just so much more activity in the markets then, and there's not nearly as much now. Now, it's not actually that bad. There's a decent amount there, which does surprise me, but just know that unless the volume is steadily increasing, you're seeing a lot of activity in the market, there's a lot of risk that this could be completely fake and a dead cat bounce of sorts. On Ethereum, probably less so, but on Bitcoin, if it is, it will drag Ethereum and the rest of the market with it, and maybe this all starts off at the SPX S&P 500. So, another example I've got of when this has happened. Another Wyckoff distribution was actually at the top here, where it just kept increasing, and then it couldn't break up that upper trend line, and it fell apart. You can see here, it just couldn't break that, and it fell apart. And it happened again here, where you've got this flat trend line, kind of where it was making a lot of tops and things like that, and it tried to break above. There was absolutely no volume. Sorry, I just pointed at my screen. That was really funny. You can see up here, it tried to break above, but right below it, you can see there is no volume in that market. So it was not going anywhere. All right. So you've got to be very, very careful when they're trying to toy with you like this. Okay. Until I see volume, I'm not super confident, but if it can genuinely hold the support, that would be a good indicator. Okay. Now what you've all been waiting for is jump straight into Ethereum. I've got a lot to say about this, but we're going to talk about these indicators in just a second. You can see this major trend line and it has just broken above it. Look, it has done a lot of bullish movement and greatly surprised me. And the ETH 2.0 merger should be happening in September, and that is really bullish overall, but that may have already been priced in now, and we might start to see some normal action again. So what I'm going to look at here is these two indicators down here. Firstly, let's look at the cloud on the daily. Look, giant, thick. I don't think it's going to punch through it yet. Now, I think Ethereum could have more legs to run, and I don't know if it's going to make new all-time highs. I doubt it, but I do think it could run up more. But what I'm saying here is based on this sort of stuff, until that cloud gets thinner on the daily and even on the weekly, we're not even close to it. We're not going to break through anything, all right? We're going to be hitting this resistance for a while, moving up and down, potentially sideways. That's what I think is going to happen. And then eventually we could make or break, go up or down. We won't know yet. Again, not financial advice. But if we come down to the 4-hour chart, we're actually above a lot of these technical indicators. But now what I'm going to start looking at is the volume. I'm going to go really hard into that. I've got these two indicators down here. I'm going to make them really big for you because they're really important. Now, these are two custom scripts that I've gotten from the Market Makers channel. You have to subscribe to them to get these. I can't just give them to you, but I will explain to you what they do. This first one here is a volatility indicator. Now, basically what it's showing is kind of the volatility bands and how fast and how much momentum the market has, which is a really important part of analyzing market structure and trends. Currently, it's been really violent to the upside. And you can see that whenever it comes to this middle point, a really neutral volatility, then it makes a big movement in either direction. Okay, that is not an indication of positive or negative, a big movement in either direction. You can see down here, right before it dumped for a couple of days. And right here is right before it pumped for a couple of days. So it shows it off. It doesn't show which direction it's going to go. You have to use other analysis to do that. But it's a really good way of seeing if a big move is coming. And as it stands, the volatility is currently steadily declining. Okay, once it hits that middle point, I'll be looking again to see what's going to happen. Follow my Twitter down below if you guys want me to update you on when I see these movements. Now, this other one. This is a reverse engineered money flow indicator that incorporates a lot of elements of volume into it to take its analysis. And what it's showing here is that the money flow actually started entering the market as soon as we got all that news about Polygon and ETH and all that 2.0 crap, right? And it whipped up really fast. Like, it does not usually whip up this quickly. There was a lot of money entering the market and entering Ethereum. You don't see the same stuff on Bitcoin. There was not this much volatility, and then not this much money entering, or nearly as much. It whipped up really quickly on Ethereum. But what we're seeing now is it's steadily declining as price is increasing. And as you guys might know from my channel, I call that a divergence. It is a volume divergence using the money flow indicator. Not kind of like your RSI divergences, I prefer volume. But yeah, so it's a major divergence, and you can see it's thinning out that band there. That ribbon, it's thinning it out, and eventually it'll break below it. That's what I believe will happen. And we'll come down to the bottom, and we will reset the market a little bit so that we can go up again. So I think we're just going to capitulate a little bit and move back down to the downside at least a little bit. Now, where are we going to move to? For this, I'm going to pull I think this is the new top, but I won't use that because it's not confirmed. We're going to quickly grab some trend-based Fibonacci extensions. So I'll grab the big one right at the top here, the bottom. So trend-based Fibonacci extension grabs 3 points and uses trend to kind of calculate where the large fib elements are. So there's not too many in this zone. I think 236 might actually be around here, but I don't have it on my chart. And if we grab another one, I believe this one here is quite good. Oh, I know why some other people take like 20 minutes to do crypto TA, because there's a lot to go over. But damn. All right. There's another one there, and there's still kind of like nothing in this zone. I think we could come down and test this 1100 zone, but let's just do one more. I think if we go from the bottom here to the top and we capture this most recent trend, you can start to see where all of these elements start to fit together. So this is showing me a lot of fib sequences kind of inside this zone here. I'll make these small again. I should have just whatever. Close that, there you go. And you can see that I've got a 0.5 fib that it's sitting right on. I don't think it's going to break through that. So I do think this zone has a lot of resistance in it. Just hide the cloud. So I think if we come down, we could potentially at least wick to around 1400 USD, but I think we could definitely go as low as 1200 if we want a proper reset. Honestly, I'm telling you right now that if it goes down to 1200 now, I think that would actually be the bullish scenario, where it's retesting a lot of this support. Falling through that would obviously be really bad, but I would be looking for a retest around that 1200 zone to be placing a couple of orders, and of course DCAing as I go. I'm not going to like hard trade this market or anything like that. That's not for me, it turns out. But I just like to look at the macro scale and kind of see the direction of where things might be going, in case I'm sitting on a lot of cash or a lot of Ethereum or something like that, and just kind of take profits along the way and things like that. So I definitely think we're going to return down a little bit, and this is not a dead cat bounce. It could be, definitely could be. So if we can't break this resistance, definitely be watching in the future. But I think we're going to come down and test some other lows, and then potentially move back up again for one final run up before we potentially capitulate, depending on what the mass economic scale is actually doing. So thank you for watching, guys. I know this was a bit of a long one. I really hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day, everyone.